Good evening, one and all, and once again, a huge welcome all to what is the Muscle Health Foundation Charity's 11th episode in our second series. That's 25 episodes have been broadcast since April last year. These are informal chats with interesting guests and personalities called In Conversation with, hosted by myself, Michael McGrath. Tonight, we've got something pretty special for you, right? And as ever, we remain totally focused on the needs of our vulnerable community, children and young people across the UK between the ages of 8 and 28 with muscular dystrophy. And the aim of these conversations is simply to help our tribe of muscle warriors, our community, feel connected and engaged rather than perhaps feeling alone and isolated. So if you enjoy this evening's episode, as I've said before, can I ask you all, please, 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 to dig deep and make a donation, and know that you'll be helping the charity in its continued efforts to bring a little bit more magic and a little bit more joy, a bit more happiness to some really, really deserving young people. Before we bring on tonight's guest, once again, I'm sending big love, big hugs, big hope to all those with muscular dystrophy across the UK, to our incredible muscle warrior families, our tribe, our Muscle Dream beneficiaries. And just to say, you know what, we're thinking of you, and please do continue to reach out, please, and let us know how we can support you during these still testing times, aren't they? So on with tonight's episode. A few quick housekeeping points. Firstly, a safeguarding note. As always, we have eyes over tonight's broadcast. So if any inappropriate comments or unacceptable behaviors are observed, action will be taken. Secondly, all episodes are recorded and streamed on the charity's Facebook and YouTube channels. And as always, you can help grow, amplify our reach by subscribing, commenting, and of course, sharing. So tonight's guest is Operations Coordinator at Paradise Wildlife Park in Broxbourne, Hertfordshire, the county of opportunity. A family-run animal park with conservation and preservation of both rare and endangered animal species very much at its beating heart. Our guest has spent his life working in zoos and in conservation, with experience also working at the Big Cat Sanctuary in Kent, a place of peace and tranquility, providing the perfect setting for the successful breeding of beautiful yet endangered cats, both large and small, within the coordinated global endangered species breeding programs. A passion for wildlife, for adventure, and for conservation. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Aaron Whitnall on tonight's show. Hey, Aaron, a very warm welcome.
Hey, guys. Hello, Muscle Health Foundation.
How's it going?
Me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely fine. How's it going?
Yeah, really well, thank you.
Good,
obviously,
good.
Just pleased that the weather's starting to dry up, so hopefully that means the animals will start coming out a little bit more, because as you can imagine, they've spent most of the last week indoors where the weather's been so bad. But things are looking up. Looking forward to a busy summer season now that obviously the lockdown seems to be ending, which is exciting.
I know it is, absolutely. I mean, the restrictions are easing. I think there's a little bit more confidence, but I think that people are still being cautious, and quite rightly so.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So listen, thank you very much for giving out some time this evening. I know that there's a football match going on this evening, the Europa League final, where your beloved Manchester United are playing. Is that right?
Yeah, of course. You know, being a Hertfordshire boy, I obviously naturally supported the local team and went with Manchester United. So obviously keeping my fingers crossed that they finally get a trophy.
Well, I'm sure that your family, your friends are tuning in tonight. And for those that are watching the footy, just keep us informed of the score, please. And of course, if Villarreal score, let us know. Listen, before we get going, Aaron, I've got to ask, how's the newborn cub? And do we have a name?
Yes, she's doing well. We don't have a name yet. We've now got a voting opportunity for people to basically post a vote as to what name we should give her. But yeah, she's doing fantastically well. She was born on the 6th of April, and as you can see by the pictures, Mum is doing fantastically well with her as well. What's really amazing about the jaguars that we have at the Big Cat Sanctuary in this particular baby is that the mum was actually born here at Paradise in 2017. So we've actually got 3 generations of jaguars between our 2 parks now. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. At the moment, all 3 generations of the cats are actually down at the Big Cat Sanctuary because we're currently building a stunning new jaguar habitat at Paradise Wildlife Park, which will open later this year, called Jaguar Jungle.
Yeah.
And it's the first black jaguar cub we have ever had born between the 2 parks. And like you said, it is part of the international breeding programs.
Yeah.
We haven't named her yet, but we do have a choice of 3 names for people to vote for. So the names Inca, and Kilari. So they're the 3 names. So Inca, Inti, and Kilari. So if you go to the Big Cat Sanctuary social media pages, then you'll be able to basically click the link and then post your vote as to which out of those 3 names we should call our beautiful new little black jaguar cub.
That's lovely. I love those names. How did we whittle it down to, you guys whittle it down to those 3 names?
So our naming process, specifically when we come to obviously very beautiful and endangered animals like this, is we always go for names that are from the origin of where these animals would naturally come from in the wild. So just to give you like one example out of the 3, Inca, because of the Inca Trail in South America. So that's how we get the name. So please go and have a vote and give her a name. I've just seen one of the comments there about her being spotless. Even though she may look it, she is not spotless. This is what is so incredible about black jaguars. Yeah. So people often think that a black jaguar or a black leopard is a panther, when actually there's no such thing as a panther. A panther is just simply a black cat. What black jaguars and black leopards have are those amazing markings that you saw on Mum, for example, there. And basically the way you end up with black jaguars is it's very rare genes that occur. So it happens to about 10% of the jaguar population around the world. So she's a very unique jaguar for that reason, but she does have spots or rosettes, as we say.
And how long was that secret kept before the world knew that this beautiful cub had arrived?
We've kept it well. I mean, she was born on the 6th of April, so we've kept it quite a while. That's for sure. We only announced her on Monday this week. The reason for that is because, of course, when they are born, there is obviously a real crucial period where obviously when they're first born, they could have issues, which we did have to monitor with the mum, and especially in the case of as they do progress over those first few weeks, there could always be the chance that the mum rejects the cub, or there could be, issues. So we always make sure that we allow a good amount of time to ensure that the cub is healthy, happy, before we do obviously announce it to the world. And thankfully in this case, it has gone well.
Such beautiful eyes.
Yeah, she has. She's absolutely
amazing.
She's got quite an incredible personality as well. She's very playful with Mum, but she does also have that little feisty side to her. And even though she hasn't got any teeth, when she does give you a little snarl, it is pretty cute, to say the least.
And what size is this little cub?
So quite incredibly, when you think about how big cats get to, and jaguars, they're the 3rd largest of the cat species, biggest cat in the Western Hemisphere. These guys will actually start off less than a human baby in terms of weight. Yes. So you're looking anywhere between 1 to 2 pounds in weight, which is quite incredible. Yeah. And then they generally stay small for the first 6 months. And then in the case of quite a lot of big cats, they can put on almost a stone in weight every single month from that kind of 6-month period up until they're fully grown, which can be at around 3 years old to 4 years old. I mean, lions and tigers, obviously, they get to the massive weights. A jaguar is about 1/3 of the size of a lion or a tiger. So, there's a big size difference between them. But the one thing that makes jaguars so incredible is that size for size, that they're just the ultimate cat, really. Like, I know everyone always goes for the lions and the tigers, the most popular ones, but seriously, there is nothing a jaguar can't do. They're just amazing. They are the best climbers. They're the best swimmers. They're probably the fastest of all the big.
I was going to say, are they the fastest?
Well, cheetahs, everyone always says, but what about cheetahs?
Cheetahs
aren't actually a big cat, amazingly. The way you tell the difference is that big cats roar and small cats purr. Cheetahs can't roar, so they are seen as the biggest of the small cats, if that makes any sense. But I mean, they're phenomenal swimmers, like I said, and they also have probably the hardest bite of any cat as well, size for size. So they're just amazing, really.
Does jaguar roar?
Jaguars do, it's quite a unique roar, really, because especially when they're angry or when they're doing their call. It honestly sounds like someone is sawing wood. That's the best way to describe it. Whereas lions and tigers, obviously, their roars are a bit more iconic. Jaguars, people just don't know too much about them, but it's quite a unique roar to say the least.
Somebody would like to add the name Christine. Hi, good evening. Thank you for tuning in this evening, and lovely to have you part of the show. Has suggested Spotless might be a nice name.
Yeah, I know. I did see that, but like I said, obviously she does have spots, so we can't call her spotless. But yeah, good suggestion.
So there's already lots of chat coming in, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to say a quick hello to everyone. Hello to Suleiman, our muscle warrior Suleiman, and he's got a little message coming in. He says, "I absolutely love Paradise Wildlife Park, and I'm forever grateful to my dear friend Will for introducing me to this magical place." So that's nice. Thank you so much. Lara says hi. Christine saying hi. Samantha saying such a beautiful girl, the little cub. Laura saying can't wait for this at Paradise. Jules is just saying she's absolutely amazing. It's a bit special, isn't it? Let's be honest. When I was doing a little bit of research and looking at all sorts of different photographs this afternoon, it was just like those eyes just got me, right? And Jules said, I've adopted Kira and Neron, proud grandma here. That's nice.
Yeah. Like I said, because obviously we've had obviously Kira's parents at Paradise, and they are the two that will come back to Paradise. Her parents, Kamal and Kadira, are their names.
Yes.
So we're hoping that once they come back to our new Jaguar habitat, Jaguar Jungle, later this year, that we will get a breeding recommendation for them next year. We're keeping our fingers crossed on that front, and then hopefully next year we'll have the pitter patter of little Jaguar cubs at Paradise, as well as our sister site, the Big Cat Sanctuary, as well.
Yeah, that's nice. It's lovely, lovely, lovely. So let's move on. Question. I'm aware it's been a really tough period, yes, for you and your family and the brothers, Tyler and Cameron. You're all running the wildlife park, right? And what is it, 800 animals, 850 animals, something like that?
Yeah.
So, how's the past 12 months been for you guys? How did last year's lockdown impact Paradise Wildlife Park?
Yeah, it's been tough. We've probably lost around £2 million in revenue. Because unlike so many businesses, you can't switch off because you have so many animals to care for. And I mean, in the prime of summer, when you've got all the visitors here, it can cost up to £20,000 just to keep the gates open a single day. So there's a lot of cost that goes into that. Yeah. But I think the key thing for us is, as a family and as a team here at the park, we've always stayed incredibly positive throughout. So obviously furlough was a godsend, because obviously it meant we were able to protect so many people's jobs. Yeah. And obviously it meant that we were able to still care for the animals. Obviously, because of COVID, we went from having, we have over between 100 to 150 staff here on a full-time and part-time basis. We went down to teams as low as like 15 individuals, because we had to, every department aside from the zoo obviously were furloughed. With the zoo team, we had to split them, because obviously if a keeper got COVID, all of a sudden you don't want all of your keeper team getting COVID. So we had to split them. So, that was difficult as well, because as you can understand, especially when you're working with animals, it's such a passionate profession. It's such a passionate job. You want to be working with your animals all the time. So to have a team in almost like reserve, just in case something goes wrong, obviously it was difficult for them, because they didn't want to be at home. They wanted to be caring for the animals. But like I said, despite the difficulties, we've tried to remain as positive as possible. We started doing our educational live feeds throughout lockdown to keep educating people, help people consistently see our animals as well. And that's been fantastic for us. Like I said, the reception we've had from the local community as to how important Paradise is to them has been really overwhelming and heartwarming for us as a team. The amount of food donations we have, and the amount of people that wanted to come and volunteer or have made donations. The amount of people that kept their memberships going with us as well was really, really heartwarming. So, yeah, we can't thank people enough for all that support. And as we come out of that, we're now looking forward to, fingers crossed, a very exciting future. We do have some very big projects on the go at the moment.
We're going to pick those up a little bit later in the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. With that, we're excited for the future. And like I said, we just want to thank everyone. Even though it's been a difficult year, we're powering through it as best we can.
It's a point of difference, isn't it, with Paradise, in terms of that link between education and conservation?
100%. And this is the difficult thing about the profession, is that there is such a mixed bag to the profession. There are good zoos, there are sadly bad zoos, There are good sanctuaries. There are sadly bad sanctuaries. As we know, there are lots of threats facing animals in the wild. And as we often say, in an ideal world, zoos and animals in captivity wouldn't be needed. But sadly, because of those threats that are facing so many animals, you know, they predict 1 million species are currently at threat of becoming extinct in the next decade, which is absolutely terrifying. And it's our role as a good zoo and our responsibility as a good and well-respected zoo to provide not just education for the visitors that come on to the site, but also provide an education for online viewers as well, because we now have a huge online audience as well. But as well as that, conservation is at the heart of everything we do. We've got huge conservation projects that we run, like our Drive for Wildlife one, for example. We started that a couple of years ago, and the first project we did, we drove around Africa, filmed the whole expedition to film different conservation organizations, the work they do, meet the rangers, work with the rangers. We raised over £100,000 for that project. We donated Uganda's first ever animal ambulance to help basically rescue different animals from the wild if they'd been, you know, injured by poachers, or if they'd been, if their parents had been killed and they were orphans, or if their habitat had been destroyed. They could then go to a sanctuary that we work with. They could be rehabilitated, and then they either stay at the sanctuary or get reintroduced back into the wild. And just over the course of the last year, literally hundreds of animals, from reptiles to amphibians to mammals, have been, even birds, have all been rescued. So that's absolutely fantastic. As well as our Drive for Wildlife project, the 18 months pre-COVID, we had members of our team in South America, India, Southeast Asia, of course, Africa, like I said. So even though we are a small wildlife park, we're a wildlife park with a big heart, and we try to do as much as we possibly can for conservation around the world.
It's a you know, PWP is a global brand, right? It's becoming a global brand, or recognized globally.
Maybe one day. I feel like we're on the right track. You know, in 2017, we started our master plan for the park, which, you know, my granddad, and when you consider what my granddad had achieved here, when he took over this place, it was dubbed as the worst zoo in Britain. By 2017, when he started to take a bit of a step back, you know, it was then regarded as, you know, one of the best small zoos in Britain. I think we've now really done well to continue his legacy and take it to that next level. And obviously he's still involved on a daily basis, which is wonderful. You know, the fact that we are a family charity, the fact that there's now 3 generations of our family working between the parks, and hopefully that'll continue into the future as well, future generations of our family. But do
you think your granddad is tuning in this evening?
No, my granddad is probably in bed. So he's one of those. He'll be up at like 3-4 in the morning in his office working, and then, you know, he's gone home now, but he's probably having dinner and going to bed, bless him. But
I'm just going to jump into the chat room for a second.
The amazing character, and, you know, we love him dearly. He's been absolutely awesome. So, you know, for us to be able to continue his legacy is something that we are incredibly proud and driven about, and the fact we can just continue to keep trying to take the park from strength to strength is what our main aim and ambition is, really.
Lovely. So I'm just going to jump into the chat room. Aaron, take a breath. Have a drink. Bonnie J. I don't know if Bonnie J is from Brazil.
I went to school with her. Hi, Bonnie.
Says, hey, Aaron, beautiful new addition to the park family. That's great. Thank you, Christine. Yep, they are beautiful photographs. And Debbie says, I can't wait to see Sun Bear Heights and the new jaguar enclosure. Jules says, I'm honored to say I was able to volunteer and help all through lockdown. Fantastic, Jules. Thank you. That's amazing. Christine's talking about sun bears are pretty cool. We're going to have to pay them a visit sometime later on in the year. That would be lovely. And Samantha says, please don't forget the wonderful binturongs too. So there we go. Okay, we're up to date with that. So moving the conversation on a little bit. So, you know, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but let's wind the clock back just a little, right? And I was fascinated to spend some time reading about the history of the park, going back, as you say, over 50 years, and the incredible, you know, the challenges faced by the Sampsons family, their significant investment, right? The renovation, the transformation work, and all the stages, the hard graft, the dedication, the humongous amounts of determination to turn what essentially was a dream, right, into a widely acclaimed wildlife park, which today, as you already alluded, is at the forefront of species conservation. So as you've already said, you must be so incredibly proud of your grandfather, Aaron. And now, of course, you've been part of the journey and its continued development and success. Tell us a little bit more. Give us a little sense of what's in store at Paradise Wildlife Park in the future, as in the next kind of 5-10 years. You've got this master plan. How many years on the master plan?
Yeah, we've got big plans of I can't give too much away.
Come on, it's just between you and I, right?
But no, obviously, we've got species we dream about, and hopefully one day we can. I think in terms of the layout of our park, when you drive into Paradise, you've got this long driveway which goes down the middle of the park. And I think eventually what will happen in terms of our master plan is that eventually everything that is one side of the driveway will be purely our world of dinosaurs, our playgrounds, and areas like that. And then the other half of the park will be purely animal habitats. And
yes.
The idea behind the direction we're trying to take the park is that, we feel we have a responsibility to house animals that are either vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered. They are the three categories on the basically international species red list. And animals within under those three categories are the ones that are seen as threatened species.
Yeah.
So we want to try and focus our attention as much on animals within those categories as possible. Don't get me wrong, we're still always going to have things like meerkats because they are incredible ambassador animals, and they are so popular that they themselves just play a role in conservation by the fact they're so popular. But we really want to put a spotlight onto animal species that people may know a little bit about, but not too much about, that are seriously threatened. And that's the direction we're gradually going in. And that's how we've had to move and evolve the collection. So in 2017, when we started looking at it, our approach was less animals, more space, the exhibits to be designed in a much more interactive way for the visitors, but also in a much better way for the animals from a welfare perspective. Because obviously, like anything, the world changes, the world evolves. And even though our exhibits were good at the time, we know that in the future you constantly need to evolve and make things better and better and better. That's just the way the world works.
Yeah.
And we really looked hard at that. So in 2017, we started our first major project, and this was for our green anaconda. So we actually have the biggest anaconda in the United Kingdom at Paradise on view to the public. Her name is Optimus Prime, and she's absolutely beautiful. She's around 18 feet long. She's got a girth of 2.5 feet. And she weighs over 100 kilos, so she's an absolute beaut. Probably takes about seven of us to lift her. She's an incredible girl, and we wanted to really, really make a spectacle of this incredible species, because a lot of people often look at snakes and they're very much a Marmite animal. You either love them or you hate them.
Yeah.
But we love our anacondas. We love our big snakes here at the park. We love reptiles in general. We love animals, obviously, but we decided we were going to build a truly state-of-the-art habitat for her. And even though we've done some amazing projects still, it's probably the one I'm most proud of when we go and look at it, just because everyone who works within the profession is just like, oh my God, no one has done anything like this for big snakes before. So we've got an amazing area where you can watch her underwater, because anacondas do spend most of their time underwater because of the sheer heaviness of their body weight. So people can really experience her in all of her glory. We're pretty proud of that one.
I'm going to interject, and there is a subtle difference between interjecting and interrupting.
No, go ahead.
I'm just trying to visualize 7 people lifting this anaconda. How does that work? I mean, how do you even start that process of getting everyone in place to lift this beautiful beast?
Well, we have an amazing team here at the park. The dedication is just second to none. It really is. Whether it's our animal park team, whether it's our maintenance team, you can pick any department. We've got a fantastic team here. But when it comes to situations like that, obviously we've got keepers that specialize in particular species. We've got a very dedicated team as well. So there are those that will also get involved who probably don't usually work with snakes as well. They're led by the more experienced team. Effectively the most experienced person will basically aim to, obviously you've got to make sure you secure the head, because you don't want her biting anyone. She does have 180 teeth. They all point backwards, and she's not the friendliest snake in the world either. So you have to bear that in mind. She does have a 6-foot reach if she tries to strike for you, but that's only if you really annoy her. But no, I mean, the most important thing is that we put a cover over her face so that obviously can't bite, and also because it then it blocks the eyes, it just helps calm them down a little bit. We then, in terms of how we transported her, we then moved her into a wheelie bin, believe it or not, because we needed something that was nice and strong, but nice and safe to move her in as well. And then once we got her into her new habitat, which is huge compared to the old one, then it was just a case of opening the wheelie bin and out she went. And she's been amazing ever since. The way we design the exhibits now is, instead of just having like an indoor space and then an outdoor space, we, depending on the animal, we'll break the area down into different areas, effectively, more for the animal management standpoint. So now in her habitat, even though we've got the main area, we do also have an off-show snake habitat for her to go into. And the same for our reticulated pythons. We have 2 of the longest reticulated pythons in the country as well. So they'll have their main exhibit, but out the back of that, we've then got an off-show exhibit as well. So if we ever needed to do any major work in the habitats, or if we needed to help them from a medical standpoint, or if we need to split them for feeding or anything like that, there's all these different ways we can manage the animals in a much safer and better way, and stress-free way for them, if you see what I mean. So they're all things we take into consideration. But
just
the
a
only
quick question
time we'd ever really handle her is if there was a major problem now.
And has there been a major problem with her?
No, thankfully not. I'm pleased to say she's a
good.
big, beautiful girl, and we've got a great team who look after her.
Exactly, fantastic. And a quick question: how much does she eat? I mean, what's her diet like?
So at the moment, we feed her on rats or rabbits.
How many rats?
Well. We would like to. I mean, she could probably have a fair few in a single go. The amazing thing about anacondas and large reptiles like that is that she could eat. If she ate a big enough meal, she could go a whole year without eating again. And that's what's so incredible about them.
Right.
We would eventually like to get her onto bigger meals, I think. So I think eventually we'd like to move her onto maybe small pigs or horse legs or something of that stature. Because she's such a big, beautiful animal. And that's what they would absolutely thrive on. So it's just getting her used to that kind of stuff. She's not the only animal in that habitat, though. Like, we do actually have a mixed exhibit. So we do have some animals or small lizards known as plicker that live in there with her. They're very small, very nimble, very fast, so she can't get them. And to be honest, I don't think she could be bothered to even try. But they do really well in there with her as well. So it is a little mixed exhibit, and that's kind of what we are gradually building towards as well, is those unique exhibits where in some cases you will just have one species living in them, but in others, in the case of our anacondas and the lizards, you now look at our new tiger habitat, Land of the Tigers. We have tigers and fish that coexist together. Yes. And then looking forward to things like the bears, we have the bears, the binturongs, and also the otters that are going to be coexisting together. So, yeah, we're trying to be ambitious. We're trying to be clever. Yeah. We use the expertise of some amazing people from within the entire zoological profession, not just our keeper team, but vets and professors and conservationists, to take on board their opinions as to how we can try and build the best small zoo in the world, is what our aim is, I guess.
Yeah, I love the ambition. But I'm also very aware that there's quite a lot of people probably having their dinner as we're having this conversation.
Sure, yeah,
so we need to be mindful of that, don't we? So, Aaron, something that we're now doing as part of these In Conversation with broadcasts is we've got not one but 2 quick fire rounds. Okay. So allowing our audience to get to know our guests a little bit more. So you ready?
Go for it.
All right. Marmite, love it or loathe it?
Love it.
Most used emoji on your smartphone?
Probably like the tongues out emoji, like with the winky face kind of thing.
The winky face, the tongues out. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Scrambled or poached eggs?
Scrambled.
Farmyard animals, birds of prey or big cats?
Big cats.
One tune or song that puts you in a good mood, Aaron?
Chris Brown, Beautiful People, or Flow Rider, Good Feeling.
Nice. Chester, Colchester, or London Zoo?
Ooh, 3 great zoos, but I am going to have to say Chester.
Okay. Pepperoni, margarita, or Hawaiian pizza?
Pepperoni. Anything else is wrong.
One item that you take to a desert island?
Water.
Good answer. And best impression. So I don't know, King Julian from Madagascar by any chance?
Yes, I can do King Julian. Hello, Fricks. I like to move it. My name is King Julian. So yeah, I can do that one.
Very good, very good. And we're recording this episode, by the
Backup
way.
was the Joker, so that was
Very good. So Aaron, let's chat a little bit about the let's move on down from Hertfordshire to Kent, and let's chat a little bit about the Big Cat Sanctuary, which is your sister charity, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
So yeah, the Big Cat Sanctuary is basically the dream of my grandfather, effectively.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, he obviously built Palaris up fantastically well, but he'd always had this dream of basically having this park that was purely for big cats because they're his biggest passion. That wouldn't be open to general public, but they could be part of international breeding programs. And yeah, that was effectively it. That's how it started. So he got a call from a farmer, amazing guy called Malcolm Dudding, who looks like Father Christmas. He's incredible. Who had taken on some rescued lions from a zoo that shut down.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was just called Marley Farm. He had the 2 lions there. I think Born Free were a little bit involved, but in the end, I think that kind of died a death. And basically, my granddad took over from that. And yeah, it's been the Big Cat Sanctuary ever since. Well, it started off as the Wildlife Heritage Foundation, and then we changed it to the Big Cat Sanctuary. And today we have one of the best collections of big cats and small cats anywhere in the world. We have numerous cats there that are part of international breeding programs. But where it's a sanctuary, and it differs a little bit from the zoo, is that you have at the zoo, we have just different species that are part of international breeding programs or they're ambassador animals, and they're specifically there for those reasons. With the sanctuary, it is just big cats and small cats, but at the same time, we do also have animals that not just a part of international breeding programs, but are either retired zoo animals or also rescued from circuses or rundown zoos or private ownership in that sense. So there are those circumstances that would house those kinds of animals as well.
How many cats there?
I think it's around the 40 mark. So yeah, quite a few individuals to say the least. We've got all 5 of the big cats. So we've got lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, and snow leopards. They're the 5 big cat species. We then have the medium-sized cats, which are the cheetahs, pumas, and lynx. And then we have quite a few small cat species. So everything from palace cats to rusty spotted cats, caracals, servals, jungle cats as well. So quite a few. And then we have ambitions to bring in some more cats as part of those international breeding programs in the future.
So that's a lot of feeding.
Yeah, it's a lot of meat.
a lot of meat. So just give me an idea. Where does all this meat come from, and what's the sort of quantity of meat that's being eaten by these cats?
Sure. So to be honest, most of the meat that we actually feed the cats and the predators between both of the parks is horse meat, because obviously in this country we don't eat horse. It's very bizarre because if you go to like Europe, you go to France, you can eat horse. It's on the menu everywhere, but we don't eat horse over here. So when a horse passes away, best thing for a farmer to do is just put it back into the food chain. So it will go through an abattoir, because obviously we have to make sure that the horse hasn't been put down using an anesthetic or something
inhumane.
Euthanized using drugs or anything like that. Because they can have effects on the cats, but it'll go through an abattoir and then come to us. We feed them on average, the big cats once every 3 days. The small cats will feed near enough every day because they'll have small meals. So it'll be like chicks, mice, rats, things like that. And on average, for the big cats, you're looking anywhere between 7 to 20 kilos, depending on time of the year.
So, is it the job of the keepers to slice and dice all this meat that arrives? And so they're
coming from the abattoir, mostly done like that. But there will be times that, we'll cut the meat up. Because again, being an animal living in being an animal living in a zoo in 2021, a good one, is almost like living in a 5-star hotel your whole life, because you've got these insane habitats that are put together to meet your every welfare need, that keep you mentally and physically stimulated. You've got keepers that take care of your every need. You've got they'll have you on special diets, so you're almost kept like an athlete in a way, kept in the best prime condition possible. You're constantly given enrichment. If you're ever poorly, then you've got some of the world's best vets that are taking care of you.
Yeah.
So there's all these elements that go into it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. And what sort of footfalls running through the Big Cat Sanctuary, just in terms of,
So the Big Cat Sanctuary is very unique because it's not open to the general public. So we have, we have only, like I said, you can't just rock up there effectively like to a normal zoo. So you have to pre-book, and we've got lodges that you can stay in down there. We have tours that you can go and do down there. We do open days as well. Normally around 3,500 people a day, but they sell out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So really, we're probably looking 30,000 to 50,000 at very most visitors a year.
Yeah. I'm just jumping into the chat room for a second. So Debbie said some sad losses this year, though.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing with the Big Cat Sanctuary is that obviously the saddest part of working with animals is that they don't live anywhere near as long as us. And in the case of big cats, in the wild, they would probably live anywhere between 8 to 12 years old. In captivity, depending on the species, you could look at 20, a couple that may live just beyond 20 years old.
Yes.
But sadly, we've got quite an old collection down there, and we have had some losses recently, which is difficult. But with every loss, then comes an amazing new life. And even though it's been, it's obviously been sad, but it is more down to age than anything else as to why we've lost those cats. We have then had obviously our beautiful black jaguar cub born recently, and with every loss comes a new beginning, as they say. Us, with every loss, we've now got exciting cubs to look forward to that are a part of the international breeding program. So
fantastic. Am I right in thinking, Aaron, that all being well, August this year we'll see 3 species: the threatened bears, the binturong, and the Asian short-clawed otters? You see, I'm doing my homework. Come together and share a new habitat in Sun Bear Heights. Tell us more.
Yeah, I'd love to say August. I think it's probably going to be a little bit later than that, sadly, just because of different circumstances, Brexit, COVID, and various weather hasn't really helped lately. But at some point, 2021, we will be welcoming the sun bears, the binturongs, and we already have the otters, but they will join the sun bears and binturongs in their new habitat. And it's a really exciting time for us. It's the first major new species we've had at Paradise in about 12 years, we reckon. We made the big decision to keep our white tiger Bacau down at the Big Cat Sanctuary so that we could bring in this new species. And it's an important new species to bring in because they are a threatened species. Sun bears are the smallest species of bear. They're absolutely incredible. They only stand about 4 feet tall. But even though they're so small, they have the longest claws of any bear, and they also have the longest tongue of any bear as well. It's quite amazing. And they've got these incredible golden markings across their chest, this beautiful golden marking, which is where they get their name from, because it looks like a sunrise or a sunset. And they are mainly an arboreal species, which means they spend most of their time off the ground up in trees. So we're building this amazing dynamic exhibit for them that will allow them to get up to all kinds of different heights. It's going to be a very enriching enclosure for them from a natural standpoint. We're also trying to utilize technology into the enclosure as well. So we've brought in these machines that we can basically load with food, and then we can control them off of our phones, and we can effectively decide when we feed them, how long we feed them for. So it's just going to keep them constantly on the go all the time, which is fantastic. They are also going to be a part of the international breeding program, which is something that we're incredibly excited about. It's just a totally new species for us. So it's quite amazing to go into that. And the big threat for them, very sadly, is the bear bile trade. So effectively what that means is that bears, whether it's sun bears, moon bears, or brown bears, they'll be taken from the wild, put into very tiny cages, literally the size of a trestle table. They'll be elevated off the ground. And then sadly, over the course of a few years, basically they will have the bile from their gallbladders removed. And as you can imagine, in those circumstances, the bears don't last very long. So they're effectively tortured to death. And this is why we really wanted to move into sun bears, because we feel like this is a species that really needs a spotlight on it at the moment, because they're such a stunning animal. They've got amazing charisma. And we're hoping to set up a conservation partnership with one of the sun bear conservation organizations in Malaysia to help prevent this from happening. So we're going to have all kinds of educational areas around the exhibit, and I really feel like we're going to have 2 fantastic characters when they arrive.
I can hear it in your voice. It's phenomenal passion, but absolutely belief in what it is you're doing. Question: you mentioned about the long tongue. How long?
I believe it's almost as long as the body. I can hold on. I've actually got a photo on my phone which I got the other day.
Okay.
It's of a sign because it's one that we're thinking of putting on our sun bear one, but it effectively shows the singer of Kiss up against like a sun bear. So you can kind of hold on, where is it? There you go. So you can kind of see it on there.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
So-
it can be about 10 inches long, which is quite incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very long tongue.
Well,
So
yeah.
that's why they're comparing them to the lead singer of Kiss, obviously. And
Of Kiss. My next question was actually about bears and music. You talk about maybe Bluetooth technology and feeding them and harnessing technology in some way, but do bears like music?
No, probably not. But obviously, thankfully, we won't have too much of that going on around the exhibit.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how we can now utilize the technology to help with their welfare, which is what's interesting to us. And again, even with the house, because obviously they come from quite a humid place, naturally coming from Malaysia, we've got a nice big indoor area for them as well. It's going to be nice and tall. So from a visitor standpoint, people are actually going to be able to walk across the top of the exhibit, which is quite incredible because of the dynamic elevations we're creating for the bears. You'll be at the same height of the bears, which is awesome.
Love it. Let's just jump into the chat room. Time is ticking on. Debbie says, I'm so proud to be one of 3,000 plus members. Great stuff. Emma says, love sun bears. So intelligent. Exciting times ahead from Christine. Thank you so much, Christine. Samantha, super exciting. Can't wait for the new exhibits with a little bear smiley face. Liz says, looking forward to seeing your work with Malaysia. Okay, good. Definitely sun bears are beautiful and charismatic animals. And speaking of animals, let's talk about the refurbishment. How's the refurbishment going of the big cat's old habitat? So we're talking about Jaguar Jungle now. I think that's due to open imminently. Is that right?
again, because of hold-ups, but at some point this year, it will open. Okay, but again, it's going to be fantastic. It's one of those when it comes to animals. It's better not to rush. It's better to make sure you do it properly. And I honestly believe we're creating two world-class exhibits for our animals here, for the jaguars and the sun bears and the binturongs and otters. But the Jaguar Jungle is going to be fantastic. It's over double the size of the old habitat that they were living in.
Brilliant.
It's over 20 feet high as well, so a pretty tall exhibit. And what's going to be so amazing about it is that from a jaguar standpoint, it's got all the height. Again, they're a very arboreal animal. Now, one of the things that we learned from when we had Kamal and Kadira here before we moved into the big cat sanctuary to start rebuilding their habitat was that they spent 80% of their time off the ground. And we actually had university students come in and do behavioral studies on our jaguars so that we could see that. So obviously having that kind of research is fantastic when it comes to designing the animal habitats, because you know what the animals want. We've used all natural trees to recreate their walkways and climbing frames, which is going to be great for them. But from a visitor standpoint, it's going to be the only exhibit in the UK where you can get to the same treetop heights as jaguars as well, which is going to be awesome.
Fantastic.
And it's also going to be the only exhibit in the UK where you can watch jaguars swimming underwater, which is amazing because jaguars are probably the most aquatic of all the cats. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. Kamal and Kadira don't show me up on this bit now and they don't go in the pool, but they are phenomenal swimmers, jaguars. So it's something that we're really looking forward to showing the visitors because it's a behavior that people don't often get to see. Like I said, the exhibit's really tall. Again, we've got a nice, big, very tall on-show house for them as well. So we'll have upstairs and downstairs viewing in there as well. And it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see them in it. And hopefully, at some point, it means that we will have cubs back at Paradise as well.
Aaron, knowing that your happy place is clearly at Paradise Wildlife Park, someone once said to me, or someone said, all good things come in threes, right? So I believe that you've brought along three very special friends on tonight's show. This is a first, I might add. So come on then, what have you got for us?
So I've got three animals with me. Just bear with me 2 seconds, just while I get them out. So the first animal that we are going to meet is, hold on. Whoa, let me just. So, hello. Just letting him settle.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
This is our milk snake, and milk snakes are beautiful little snakes, very colorful as you can see. And these guys come from North and South America.
Right.
And these guys play a very important part in ecosystems because these guys effectively will basically eat all the pest animals in crops. So, mice and rats and birds that will feed on the crops and cause all kinds of problems for farmers. So that's why milk snakes and snakes in general are very important parts of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Now, milk snakes are often mistaken for actually quite dangerous snakes. They're mistaken for either coral snakes or copperhead snakes.
Yes.
Because patterning is very, very similar. But basically, the best way to tell the difference between a milk snake and a coral snake is through the patterning. So hopefully you can see the amazing bands that this milk snake has on it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's effectively how you can tell that this is the harmless one. Because when it comes to the coral snakes, where the milk snake has got the red going onto the black and then the yellow, with the coral snakes, it's almost the other way around. So they will have the red going onto the yellow and onto the black. So that's basically how you tell the difference. So
got it.
That is our incredible milk snake.
Is he or she happy?
Yeah, it's just literally exploring. That's all.
Okay, good. All right.
So
okay. Very good.
Basically acting like a tree and
love it. Beautiful. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Snake back.
Okay. Who have we got next?
And then next we have another reptile species. And I think the other really unique thing to mention about snakes, because a lot of people are often freaked out by them because of their skin. A lot of people think it's slimy, when actually it isn't the case at all. Their skin is actually made from the same material as our hair and our fingernails, which is keratin. And that makes a lot of animals, parts of animals. So, for example, it makes rhino horn. So when you hear about rhinos and them being hunted for their tusks and the horns, their horns, sorry, what am I saying tusks for? It's quite comical because obviously a lot of people think that, they're worth more than gold when actually, in fact, it's just your hair and fingernails. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So we've got our corn snake, and then the next reptile I'm going to meet. Just give me 2 seconds.
That's okay. This is wonderful. We did say a live show. We promised a live show. We're delivering on the live show.
So my Lord. This amazing animal is called a blue-tongued skink. And hopefully you just saw why they're called blue-tongued skinks. So this amazing-looking lizard comes from Australia. And again, these guys are a really important part of their ecosystem. They're very commonly found in Australia. And these guys will feed, they're omnivores, but these guys will mainly feed on insects and small animals that are found in people's backyards in Australia. So they can be quite commonly seen. And obviously that stunning blue tongue is what they get their name for. And it's effectively a defense mechanism. So if a predator comes along, even something like a cat or a dog, because obviously where they're used to basically being around people so much, they will effectively open their mouth and, basically push their tongue out to try and deter the predator with that colourful tongue. So it's a bit of a warning sign. So it's beautiful animal. He's quite an awesome skink, to say the least. But these guys are amazing because when you think of a lizard, you often think of an animal that's got really rough skin. When in the case of the skinks, this isn't the case at all. They do literally look like a snake. Just with very tiny little legs. So when you think snakes actually evolved from lizards, they were all once upon a time lizards. So I almost like to think skinks, when you look at them, it almost seems like they're halfway through that evolution. I mean, it's quite amazing.
They're beautiful, so, absolutely beautiful.
That's our blue-tongued skink, and then I have one final animal for us.
Okay,
and it's probably the unique animal out of the three.
Well, Bonnie's just said seriously cute. Debbie's saying love the skinks, and Christine is going hello, Mr. Milk Snake, popular pets.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And then the final animal I have for us, something that's very, very different. This is called a tenric. And these guys, they actually come from Madagascar. Right. So even though they look like hedgehogs, they're not related to hedgehogs in any way, shape, or form. They just have the same name, and they have pretty much all the same characteristics as well. They're stunning little animals. And believe it or not, they actually come from the same ancestral family as elephants and manatees. So, they're pretty awesome, to say the least. And it just goes to show how amazing nature is, the fact that something as small as this is related in a very distant way to elephants and manatees. And obviously these spikes along the backs of their body act effectively the same way as what hedgehogs will. So they are a defense mechanism. There's around 36 different species, or over 30 species of these, that come from Madagascar. And they come in all kinds of different colors and sizes. This is one of the smallest ones. As you can see. They're beautiful, cheeky, to say the least. And again, even though you think it's related, it looks like a hedgehog. It's got all the same characteristics as a hedgehog. these guys are actually phenomenal climbers, and you can actually find these guys living in trees, and that's because these guys will mainly eat insects. So yeah, they're pretty amazing to say the least.
Oh, they're beautiful. Samantha says, I love the Tenrics. And Bonnie J saying, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
Very
Right.
good. Very, very, very adorable. You're a superstar, Aaron. Thank you. That's absolutely wonderful. And, I've got to say, it's so wonderful to see some of those beautiful animals. And I know that from, the Muscle Health Foundation Charities perspective, your family, your mum, Lynn, have all been so supportive over the years, and some very, very special muscle dream experiences have been delivered and taken place at Paradise Wildlife Park, and have meant so much. It's a truly unforgettable memories, that have been established. And I'm just going to put up, here we are. She came to Paradise Wildlife Park, I think about 6 years ago, with her family, and there she is feeding a beautiful snow leopard. And really wonderful moments that have brought tears of joy and to many of our beneficiaries with muscular dystrophy over the years who've got up close and had an opportunity, a very personal experience. So young people and their families, and some indeed of our volunteers, have all had awesome experiences at the park. So tonight, Aaron, I just wanted to use the next 60 seconds as a means of kind of passing on the charity's heartfelt thanks and gratitude to you and all of your colleagues at the park for the magnificent work that you do, that you continue to do, but also I know that you support many charities. And so our gratitude note tonight is highlighted by spotlighting one magical muscle dream moment in time that actually took place in April 2017 for Benjamin and his family here. Technology is a wonderful thing when it runs so well. We might come back to that. I'm going to look out for a little message in the chat room if we can come back to it. I'd really like for you to see that little film. So Aaron, so in terms of life lessons, let's move the conversation on a little bit. What advice would you give to your younger self, Aaron?
I guess, what advice would I give to myself? I think look, sometimes life can get on top of you, so I think sometimes you got to stay positive and look at the big picture sometimes, and remember that even now I'm still very young. There's a lot of life to go, to say the least, in that sense. I think to be honest, just make the most of every moment, because you can't you can't tell what life's got in store for you at times, and crazy things can happen. Make the most of seeing friends. I think COVID's taught us that a lot. Make the most of the time you have with your loved ones. One thing I've been very proud of is that I've traveled to quite a few places. So I probably tell myself to keep doing that. Probably have done it a bit more even. And obviously, I guess just enjoy life for every day that you're around, really.
A little bit of a gear change, right? So we're going to chat briefly about movies. In fact, your favorite movies. So give me a couple of your favorite movies, all right?
Yeah, sure. So I love a good sports film. So I love Moneyball, which is about a baseball team that defy the odds to do really well. But
Oakland,
kind of using amazing stats, and it's a very good business film. I love The Dark Knight. I just think Heath Ledger in that film I think it's the most amazing acting performance I think I've ever seen, as him as the Joker. And I'm a huge nerd when it comes to films, so I watch pretty much anything. Deadpool is my favorite comic book, favorite anti-hero. So I love the Deadpool films with Ryan Reynolds. I'm a huge Avengers fan, so I love Infinity War, Endgame, all that kind of stuff. I've watched all the Marvel films. And I suppose the big kid in me will probably say that, I'm a massive Dragon Ball Z fan, and I love a bit of anime. So, they're my kind of big things that I love.
Good stuff. So, hey, it's that time again for our second quick fire round. You ready?
Go for it.
What did breakfast look like this morning, Aaron?
Breakfast looked like a cup of tea. I had a cup of tea with some honey in it instead of sugar, and it was really good.
Right. So just how good is your best chimpanzee impression?
Oh, Will has really stitched me up with this, hasn't he? I had to do this in Uganda. We had to do we did what we called a chimp off. It was between me and one of the team over in UX. So it's I'll do that. That'll do.
Excellent, fantastic. Applause all round. Biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Wow. I got to be honest. I don't have a clue. I don't know what I thought. I guess I've got the naivety. I hope at some point I never find out what that fear is.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have a fear as far as I'm aware.
Food hell.
Food hell?
Food hell.
What food I hate?
Food hell.
Mushrooms. Yes. Mushrooms. Can't do mushrooms. Can't do mushrooms. I don't know why I just can't do mushrooms.
Food heaven.
Pizza.
Place you'd like to visit most on our planet?
Oof. That's a really good one. I really want to go to places like Alaska, and I guess I want to head back over to America, to a bit more of America. But I've been pretty lucky. It's more I want to take my family to places and some of the things that I've done. I love South America. Like I'd go back to Brazil in a heartbeat, for example. In terms of one place I would just love to go, I'm not sure. I can tell you my main ambition in life, and the main thing I want to do before I die is to visit every country in the world, because I believe that, and advice I would give to anyone is just travel the world, because you're only on it for a short period of time. Let's be real. And I think to see different cultures, to see different wild places, to see just what we've created in a positive way as man as well, I think is also an amazing thing to do. And I think it gives you some incredible life experiences and stories that you can look back on with a big smile. So yeah. Fabulous.
I love it. So in traveling the world, you're going to need one of these. So I have to ask you the question: bamboo, plastic, or electric toothbrush?
Bamboo, because you can use it as I use bamboo toothbrushes anyway. So
good
as a toothbrush, and I can use it for multiple different things because it's an amazing material.
All right. Triceratops, Tyrannosaurus Rex, or Brachiosaurus?
T-Rex.
So Aaron, are you handy in the kitchen? A bit of a chef? Signature dish?
Burnt beans on toast.
And finally, if you could be any animal in the quickfire round, last question in the quickfire round, if you could be any animal, Aaron, what would it be and why?
I would be an orangutan. They're my favorite animal. I love them because they're so remarkably intelligent, and just because they're awesome.
Brilliant. So with all that we've been through, with this wretched pandemic, we recognize now, don't we, more than ever, that we all need something to elevate our spirits, right? So Aaron, if you could invite, I don't know, 2 celebrities to your home for a beer or a pot of tea, or some burnt, beans on toast to help lift spirits, who would they be and why?
It would be Sir David Attenborough, because that is an amazing life that he's had, and I'm sure he's got some quite incredible stories. And I'm just trying to think now of someone else. Dead or alive, or does it have someone who's alive today? David Attenborough, and probably someone like, if it was like a past celebrity or past person who I think's done some amazing things in the world, probably someone like Nelson Mandela. And if it was someone who was alive today, who it would just be awesome, probably sports, because I'm a big sports fan, then someone like Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. Probably Ronaldo, just because I think his story is just incredible. So let's say Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay.
So let's just go back a bit. Let's keep our fingers and our toes crossed, because I'm going to try and go again with our little film of gratitude. So keep our fingers and toes crossed, and let's see where we go.
There we go.
I cannot emphasize the joy with all those families that have come to the park over the years, and to see them and their reaction and their facial expressions are so, and their smiles are so precious when they see the animals and they engage with the animals and they're part of the whole kind of Paradise Wildlife Park experience. So, from us to you, thank you. So, speaking of having our spirits lifted, Aaron, who makes you laugh? Like, who makes you laugh hysterically?
Mickey Flanagan. I think he's amazing. Probably Jim.
What is it? What is it about him that makes you laugh, Mickey Flanagan?
I just think he's a great comedian. I just think he's got a great act. Jim Jeffries, he's a great Australian comedian. He's got quite dark sense of humor as well. So, but something that's a bit more edgy, I guess. Andrew Schultz in America, he's a very good comedian.
Yeah.
Those are probably my top three.
You know what? We're final question, and to close off this evening's conversation, Aaron, you've been a great sport, really have. One thing we can all do to perhaps make the world a better place.
To be honest, I think the way the world is at the moment, I think everyone just needs to learn to be a little bit kinder to each other, and respect that everyone's got different opinions as well. I think it's been clear that there's still a lot of issues in the world that need addressing, not just with wildlife, but with each other. I mean, even recently you've seen going on in the Middle East and that as well. Obviously we've had all the Black Lives Matter events taking place around the world, and you look at some of the horrific racism that's been going on, and it's pretty ugly to see. So I think people need to learn to be kinder to each other. Understand that at times people are going to have different opinions to you, and you can't always be offended by that. You can't, not everyone's always going to agree with you, and nobody's perfect as well, I think, is another one. That's what my mum would say. But I just think everyone needs to learn to be a bit kinder to each other. And I think especially coming out of COVID, hopefully where people have spent time on their own, they'll learn to show that love a little bit more for each other, and enjoy the time they have with people.
Be a bit kinder to each other. That's a beautiful thing. I'm going to jump into the chat room. Amantha says, Aaron, you and your whole family are amazing. It's an honor to be part of it all in my own little way.
Thank you.
So I'm just having a quick final look at the chat room. Debbie Patterson, Debbie, thank you. David Attenborough will be a superb guest. Great, Aaron. If you can make a connection for us to Dave Attenborough, that would be amazing. Got to set the bar high. Yes. Nick, hi Nick. Good evening to you. And thank you for your comments. Thanks for tuning in. Julie says, thanks guys. Great chat. See you soon. Aaron, we're not quite finished yet, because Aaron, this is the moment where you've been such a terrific guest. I've got to ask you to give your best muscle warrior salute, please, and hold it so we can do a screen grab. That would be great. So lest we forget that a muscle warrior salute is a visible symbol of hope, courage, strength, joy, and unity for all those with muscular dystrophy. All right. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, you know what you need to do. Please, 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 can I invite you to make a little donation, knowing that you'll be helping the charity bring a little bit more joy and a little bit more magic to our community via our virtual. At the moment, it's all virtual, but nevertheless, it's working well, our virtual Muscle Dream efforts. Thank you so much. And Aaron, as is the custom, I've got to ask, if you know someone who you think would be a great guest for a future In Conversation With chat, have a think, and please do let us know.
Yeah, cool.
And finally, breaking news. All right, this is our 26th episode, which takes place in 2 weeks' time on Wednesday, the 9th of June, going live at 7:30. It's going to be a very, very different episode. We have a rather special double act lined up for you. We're going to be chatting about an extraordinary online photographic collection, a fantastic exhibition entitled Reflections in Color. Now, I happen to know it's a unique, profound, and powerfully visual exhibition that launched nationally earlier this month, with a percentage of profits from the exhibition, from prints, and from the Reflections in Color book being donated to our charity friends at Muscular Dystrophy UK. And based on a series of spectacular pictures, and they truly are mesmerizing, born of the friendship between a businessman and a successful cinematographer who's worked in film and television all over the world. It's a project that asked 50 people across the country with different variants of muscular dystrophy to simply reflect on a variety of striking photographs and then share how those images made them feel. So the Reflections in Colour project and the friendship between Dr. Andrew Robertson from Kent, who has limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, and Chris Howard, also from Kent. Maybe they've both been to the Big Cat Sanctuary, Aaron, yes? Well, we'll definitely find out. But anyway, the Reflections in Colour project will be our focus on the show in 2 weeks' time. So that's Wednesday, the 9th of June at 7:30 p.m. we kick off. There's the diary date once again. Big thanks to tonight's special guest, Aaron Whitnall. You've been a star tonight, Aaron. Thank you so much
for having me. I really appreciate it. And we can support.
Thank you so much. And to our StreamYard studio team, of course, to Lindsay, to Grace, to Kate, and to Joe. Thank you so much, you guys, for volunteering your time this evening. For now, have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.